dead fish, stranded turtles, even a dead whale shark, all likely victims of the red tide. Algae blooms affect the Gulf Coast every year, but this one is particularly menacing and toxic to wildlife and humans.
So red tide is the result of what happens when a certain organism, a phytoplankton, Karenia brevis, grows into very large numbers or gets aggregated together by currents in large numbers. It produces a toxin, and that toxin can kill fish and other marine organisms. It can also make humans sick, and so that's what we call a red tide when we have that event.
The strong smell can make humans nauseous. The toxins can cause respiratory problems. The red tide has antagonized Florida now for 10 months, and there's no end in sight. Thousands of activists took to the beaches across the state this week to join hands and draw attention to what they see as an environmental disaster. And the toxic tide is impacting the state's lucrative tourism industry, costing local businesses millions.
So these guys are hurting because nobody wants to be around the smell.
Home speech code enforcement officials tell me that close to 7,000 people would be enjoying a day like today in these beautiful Florida beaches, but the red tide is scaring them away. A place generally considered a coastal paradise, now deserted.
It's been pretty quiet, you know, because of the smell and all the dead fish. I've had a few people come and rent bikes, but not the kayaks or the paddleboard.
A lot of our guests are repeat business, so they understand what's going on with the algae bloom. So what they're doing is they're taking their reservation or their stay. They're not canceling. They're just postponing it and pushing it off into the future.
Some Floridians blame the government and politicians for a lack of adequate environmental regulations, especially related to sugarcane production.
It's pretty much common knowledge now that big sugar and the way that it's polluted, added nutrients to the water off our coast has caused these algae blooms. If you take enough fertilizer and you pump it into the water, then plants grow. And red tide is a plant.
While evidence of red tides goes back hundreds of years, scientists say they don't know exactly why today's blooms are so excessive. The working theory is that Florida's temperatures, light levels, currents, and chemistry all combine to produce a perfect storm of conditions for the algae to thrive. Nitza, Soledad, Perez, CGTN, Anna Maria Island, Florida.